President, I appreciate everybody being patient with my travel down I-10. You know, I'm glad I don't do that every evening.
That would drive you insane.
Oh yeah, literally drive you insane. Well, good evening, everyone. This week, our schools start taking the Ames assessment, and we're hoping our students give a great effort. As part of our preparation, all our teachers receive specific training on procedures to administer the test, letters to parents regarding the testing week, a phone message sent to parents, information posted on district website, lots of different ways we communicate with our families about testing. Not to mention McDonald's helping out with offering free breakfast. That helps get the word out too. But I understand from talking to some of our parents in the parent council that it's a great time to go to Burger King because the lines are short. As most of you know, legislation and federal demands in recent years have resulted in student score data becoming part of both evaluations and pay for teachers and principals. And this makes the stakes very high for student performance on the Ames. And this year is also the first time by state law third graders who score too low on the Ames will need to stay in third grade again next year until they demonstrate reading proficiency. We believe our students and staff are well prepared to do their best and show what they know, and we're looking forward to the results. This week marks the 40th anniversary of National Volunteer Week, and our volunteer is doing mom stuff, I guess, now already. Across the country, volunteers open doors of opportunity, pave avenues of success, fortify their communities, and lay the foundation for tomorrow's growth and prosperity. Established by President Nixon in 1974, this week is about taking action and encouraging individuals in their respective communities to be at the center of social change, discovering and actively demonstrating their collective power to make a difference. And we want to thank all the many volunteers in our district, our schools, our community for their service. I understand, I thought I heard on the radio today, but maybe 1 in 4 Arizonans actually volunteer sometime. So we're lucky to have those people here helping us. 29 Estrella Vista 8th graders were randomly selected by the U.S. Department of Education to participate in the NAEP, or the National Assessment of Educational Progress. That assessment is completed by students throughout the nation to determine how schools across the country are performing. Our students not only completed the battery of assessments, but they were commended by state proctors for their great behavior. The NAEP is the data that was shown in the movie Waiting for Superman and some of those other shows, and they said that the PARCC test, the new Career College Ready Standards test, is supposed to be aligned in difficulty to the NAEP, to the National Assessment of Education Progress. We haven't seen how that's going to come out yet, but it does help to have some of our kids in there working on that and see how the state is doing. School leadership teams have been learning about the Mid-Continent Regional Educational Laboratory's data-driven decision-making process to help improve how we use data like Ames scores to make informed decisions about student learning. And those teams learned how to implement a consistent process in each school so that all staff, including special area and special ed teachers, are using data throughout the year to improve student learning. Last week, the House considered several bills now in the committee of the whole, so they're out of the subcommittees that are going to affect K-12 education. There's one that allows S corporations to be eligible for corporate STO income tax credits. That's to the private school organizations, further widening that gap. There's another that modifies school district building reporting requirements and other school facility board statutes, and 2 that specify the purpose statement in election informational pamphlets for qualifying override or bonds, and that they must only present factual information in a neutral manner, which is, I thought, what we were doing now. But it also modifies the form required for information reports for school budget override elections. So these tax credit facilities and election bills are the ones that made it through so far. If you remember the presentation I did on the legislation, that must have been like 500 slides. There's likely to be some more action in other categories that we presented at that January meeting, such as retirement or empowerment vouchers. Both the House and the Senate are beginning to move bills in the committee of the whole, and they could wrap up the session in a couple weeks, we think. So we anticipate a special session probably in May after the report is completed on creating a new child welfare agency. So hopefully they'll adjourn soon, but they'll be back. Last week, the Senate passed its version of the fiscal 15 budget with 3 bills affecting K-12 education. They had the 16 votes they needed in each one. And then I think you probably heard on the news that they passed the budget last night and voted that out. And we assume that the governor's going to sign that. That budget deal that was reached wasn't really good news for public schools. They did fund inflation. JTED's got a little more funding. District-sponsored charter schools are being reduced. So all the districts that converted to charters last year are having that amount cut, and then it goes to 0 in fiscal 16. The governor's student success funding proposal was basically negotiated down to about 54% of what she requested. Our assumption is the governor's going to sign this budget because it seemed like there was a joint effort between the Senate, House leadership, and the governor's office to put this together. Unfortunately, it was a completely Republican-backed bill, and no one really seemed to like it. So the conservatives thought it didn't cut enough government. Mainstream Republicans thought it didn't include enough, and the Democrats didn't think it was moving Arizona forward related to issues for children at all. But basically it's a mess, and we are. I was just looking at the report on spending, and I'll talk about that next. But it's from before the inflation to now, we're down more than 10% statewide, and that's true in Littleton as well. A recent report comparing state per student education spending compiled by the NEA indicated that Arizona spends the fewest dollars per student on education than any other state in the country. This report estimates Arizona spends just over $7,000, while at the opposite end of the spectrum, Vermont spends over $26,000.
Wow, how would that be?
The national average is $11,674. So according to the Auditor General, who does all of our reporting, this fiscal year, Arizona was $734 below NEA's average number. We're $4,000 below the U.S. average. Since 2009, Arizona's dropped nearly $1,000 per pupil. Our district is doing everything we can to get resources and programs to our students. So our educational resource team appealed to ADE for additional ELD teachers. That's that 4-hour block classroom. And their appeal was accepted. So that means next year we'll have an extra classroom teacher for ELD at Littleton, at Estrella Vista, and at Quinton schools. We also found out we've once again been awarded funding from Virginia Piper Charitable Trust to purchase uniforms for kids in our district who have financial hardship. Each school was awarded $2,300, so that's a district total of $13,800. That's really good. That'll help families a lot. We've also been busy promoting kindergarten registration. Kinder enrollment begins the week of April 21st, and this year we'll be providing opportunities for kindergarten students and their families to attend kindergarten open house and orientation. So that should be really fun. As you might imagine, from looking at our attendance area map, Tres Rios has a lot of territory to cover, so that school celebrated National Bus Driver Appreciation Day on March 18th. There was a surprise breakfast for the drivers, sponsored by staff and students. They wrote thank you notes and cards to place, and a little booklet for each driver of appreciation. And we want to thank all of our bus drivers for all their hard work. We had hundreds of parents and students attend the Country Place Reading Night last month. Every student who attended got a free book of their choice, and a lot of those were donated, I think, by families. Parents learned skills to help their kids read successfully, and want to extend a special thanks to all the staff that helped with that event. The final numbers are in for return to teacher contracts next year, and actually when I talked to Miss Kelly today, I think there might even be 1 or 2 more people who were turning them in a little bit late. We were at 78% when I wrote this, but we've had some people who went out and looked for other options and decided the grass wasn't greener already coming back. So we might make 79.
What did you do last? I don't remember what you compared.
I think maybe it was around 75-ish. So maybe a little better. We have also people that we knew we weren't returning, so we didn't offer contracts. So we're going to have new hires of about 100 teachers for 3 years in a row. And I was at a meeting where the superintendent in Humboldt said they had seen the same thing up there, like a third of their teachers go every year. And I was feeling like we were struggling, maybe we weren't doing something right. But as I talked to other superintendents around the state, I think this has to do just as much with the conditions of teaching in Arizona as it does with what may be happening in our district. It's just tough for K-12 education right now.
Will you be able to provide us with like some breakdown of why teachers say they don't?
Yeah, we're actually going to have somebody come in and do some interviews, and what we're doing is getting a third party, a non-employee, so they don't have to feel like So we're going to dig into that a little deeper this year. And Mrs. Kelly, I think, told you at the last meeting, we interviewed first-year teachers about why they came here as well to help with recruiting. So that's in the works for somebody to sit with those people and find out what's going on there. In case you thought a sports program was the only competition we had going on, I want you to know that Littleton District Office hosted our annual district-wide math challenge last month. 70 students completed, more than 70, competed, showing their skills in problem solving and trivia. The winning teams below will be moving on to the West Side Impact Regional Math Challenge at the Pendergast Learning Center in May. So, representing our district in 3rd and 4th grades is Country Place, with Troy Hay, Sophia Garcia, Brian Vo, Hennessy Perez, Nicholas Goodfellow, Alejandro Jimenez. Representing the district in 5th and 6th grade is the Estrella Vista team, with Matthew Murphy, Rebecca Kimhe, Carlos Frosto, Andrew Blankenship, Jael Estevici, did I say it right? Echeveste. Representing the district in 7th and 8th grades division is Littleton Elementary School, and that's Nicholas Alvarez, Kyler Ballerstein, Jacob Sanders, Marcos Castro, Anna Mitchell, and Kimberly Wells. Congratulations to all of them. Now, the baseball and softball seasons are off to a great start. We're starting a few of the games during these weeks before spring break, but the majority of the games will be after break. And we're working with La Jolla High School, and they're hosting all of our games. The games will start at 5 p.m., and love to see everybody out there supporting those teams. In closing tonight, I want to express special thanks to Mr. Matt Olson for gift cards for the Family Resource Fair, and to Ms. Diane Dale for books added to classroom libraries, and that's all I have this evening.
That's a lot. So thank you, Dr. Freeman. Do we have any calls to the public? Okay, we do not. And so we had 2 matters of business for executive session. One we do not need to proceed with, and so we're only going to